The sky above Nerith was always soft purple, filled with floating crystals that once caught the light and made the whole world shine. But now, the light was gone. The crystals were cracked. The sky felt heavy. Lyra walked slowly through the silent city. Her feet made soft sounds on the broken glass roads. Buildings once full of music and laughter were now nothing more than ruins. The air carried the smell of dust and something colder, something like the memory of death. She was the last. Her people, the Ithasari, had lived in peace for thousands of years. They were gentle, graceful beings made of light and crystal. They could feel each other's emotions through soft mental bonds. There was no war in their world, no need for weapons, no hatred. But the galaxy had changed. Other races, hungry for power and afraid of the unknown, had come. The war burned quickly. No one expected it. The Ithasari had no way to fight back. Now only Lyra remained. She was young, barely past the first cycle of growth. Her skin, which used to glow softly with inner light, had faded to a dull shimmer. Her long silver robes were torn and dirty. She had not spoken to anyone in weeks. Her mind reached out often, trying to find another Ithasari thought, another living mind, but there was only silence. She lived among the ruins, eating what she could find. She slept in the corner of a broken tower, wrapped in an old teaching cloth that once belonged to her mother. She didn't cry anymore. There were no tears left. That day, something changed. As she wandered toward the outer edge of the city, a sound broke the stillness, a low humming in the sky. Lyra stopped. Her heart, quiet for so long, beat faster. She looked up and saw a small ship entering the atmosphere. It was not like any Ithasari craft. It was hard, dark, and made of sharp metal. It had no beauty, no grace. It was a human ship. She had heard of humans. Her teachers once spoke of them with curiosity. They were strange beings, loud, full of fire, but also full of heart. Some Ithasari believed that humans were dangerous. Others believed they were simply young. Lyra wasn't sure what to think. The ship landed not far from her hiding place. She crouched low behind a broken wall, watching. The ship hissed and opened. A figure stepped out. He was tall and broad. He wore a thick suit and carried a tool in one hand, something that looked like both a scanner and a weapon. His face was hidden under a helmet. His steps were slow, careful. He looked around, scanning the ground. Lyra didn't move. She didn't breathe. The human walked into the ruins. He touched the walls gently, studying the markings. He paused at a crystal statue, half broken, and knelt beside it. She saw him reach out, brushing the dust off with his fingers. There was no anger in his movements, only respect. Strange, she thought. He wasn't like the others who came in ships of fire. This one moved like someone looking for something, not someone trying to take. Lyra watched for hours. The human didn't destroy anything. He took small readings, made quiet notes, and walked carefully. Sometimes he even stopped to just look at the sky like he was listening. Then something made him stop. He turned slowly. Lyra's heart jumped. Had he seen her? She stayed completely still. Her eyes locked on his helmet, but she couldn't see his face. Still, something about the way he stood made her feel something. Warm. Not safe. Not yet, but not afraid either. She wanted to run. She wanted to hide forever. But inside her chest, something whispered, "Don't be alone anymore." She took one small step forward. The human turned again, scanning the area. He hadn't seen her. But now she saw him clearly, and for the first time in many days, Lyra whispered out loud, her voice shaking, "Who are you?" Of course he couldn't hear her. Not yet. Commander Elias Ward stepped carefully over the cracked glass stones, his boots making soft sounds in the quiet city of Nerith. The soft purple sky above was strange, like a faded painting. He looked around, studying the ruins with sharp eyes. This place was supposed to be empty, no signs of life. But Elias had learned to never trust silence. The war left scars here, and sometimes those scars hid surprises. His ship was small but strong, built to explore dangerous worlds. It was called the Endeavor, and it sat waiting, just outside the city, ready for him. Elias wore his heavy suit with its helmet, but inside he was calm. He was a human, a soldier, a scout, and sometimes a protector. Elias walked to the tallest tower still standing. It was cracked and leaning, but it held the last light of the city. As he stepped closer, he saw symbols carved into the walls. They glowed faintly, even though the light was weak. The carvings showed peaceful scenes, people sharing, laughing, flying with light wings. Elias felt something strange. These people were not warriors. They were gentle. He lowered his helmet's visor to see better. His breath made a small mist on the glass. The air was still. Suddenly, his scanner beeped softly. There was a faint energy signal nearby, very small but alive. Elias frowned. This planet was supposed to be empty. He checked again. The signal came from a hidden place under the ruins. He moved quickly, following the signal through the broken streets. The buildings grew smaller here, and the crystals on the ground were sharp and jagged. Then he saw her. She was crouched behind a wall, watching him with wide eyes. She looked fragile, like glass ready to break. Her silver hair shone faintly, and her skin was pale and glowing with a soft light. Elias froze. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Elias took a slow step forward, hands open and empty. His voice came through his helmet in soft words. "I'm not here to hurt you." The girl didn't move. Her eyes looked deep and sad. He tried again. "My name is Elias Ward. I come in peace." She didn't understand the words, but she heard the tone. Slowly she stood up, stepping out from behind the wall. Her eyes studied him carefully, curious but afraid. Elias lowered his helmet, revealing a kind face. His dark eyes met hers. "You're not alone," he said gently. The girl blinked. She wanted to believe him, but years of loneliness made her quiet and scared. Elias reached into his pack and pulled out some food, a small package of fruit and protein bars. He placed it carefully on the ground and stepped back. She looked at the food, then back at him. Hunger was stronger than fear. Slowly, she moved forward and took a small bite. Elias smiled. It was a small moment, but it was the start of something new. He studied her carefully. She seemed fragile, but her eyes held a quiet strength. He guessed she must be the last of her people, the ones the war had taken. "Where are the others?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked down at the ground and shook her head. Elias felt a sharp pain inside. He had lost friends before, but seeing this girl alone was different. She was a symbol of all that had been lost in the war. He took out a small device and began scanning her, careful not to frighten her. The readings showed something amazing. Her body was made partly of crystal and energy. Her mind could reach out, connect in ways humans could not understand. Elias knew he had to help her, not just as a soldier, but as a human who believed in hope. "We will find a safe place," he promised quietly. The girl looked up again. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. Instead, she touched his hand, a small, trembling touch. Elias felt a sudden warmth spread through him. It was like a bridge between two very different worlds. Behind them, the ruins whispered in the wind. The city was broken, but maybe, just maybe, something new could grow here. Elias looked at the sky and made a silent vow. He would protect her. He would carry the last light of the Ithasari forward. The girl, for the first time in many days, felt hope. Lyra's heart raced as Elias lowered his helmet, showing his face for the first time. His eyes were calm and kind, something she hadn't seen in a long time. She took a small step forward, curiosity stronger than fear. Elias stayed still, letting her come closer. He could feel the tension in the air, the fragile hope in her movements. This moment was delicate, like a glass statue that could break at any second. Lyra reached out, placing her hand on Elias's chest, right over the soft beat of his heart. She expected nothing but silence or confusion, but instead a strange feeling spread through her. Warmth, steady and real. Elias looked down at her hand, then smiled softly. "I'm here," he said. "You're not alone anymore." The words were simple, but for Lyra, they meant everything. Days passed slowly after that first meeting. Elias set up a small camp in the ruins, near a place that still had clean water. He built a shelter from the broken crystals and metal scraps. Lyra watched him carefully, learning how humans survived in harsh places. Elias did not rush her. He knew trust took time. He brought small gifts, food, water, and a soft blanket. Lyra tried to share stories of her people using drawings in the dust. She showed him symbols and shapes, memories of her past life. Elias listened carefully, always respectful. At night, they sat by a fire. Elias told Lyra stories about Earth, a blue planet far from here. He spoke of its oceans, forests, and the stars that filled its skies. He told her how humans had fought wars and made peace again, how they believed in protecting the weak and standing strong together. Lyra was amazed. Humans were not like the cruel soldiers she had heard about in legends. Elias was different, kind, brave, and full of hope. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Lyra tried to speak. Her voice was soft, like a whisper on the wind. "My people are gone," she said. "I am alone." Elias looked at her with deep sadness. "Not anymore," he said firmly. "I promise. I will not leave you alone." She smiled faintly. It was the first real smile in a long time. But danger was still near. Elias had sent messages back to his ship, warning the others about Nereth's strange energy signals. He did not tell them about Lyra yet. He was afraid they would not understand her. Some humans might see her as a threat or an experiment. Lyra could feel the tension in Elias's mind during those moments. She wished she could speak to him more clearly, but their connection was still new and fragile. One day, while exploring the ruins together, Lyra stopped suddenly. She held up her hand and closed her eyes. Her body trembled slightly. Elias noticed. "What is it?" he asked. Lyra opened, her eyes glowing faintly. "They are coming," she said. Elias's face grew serious. "Who?" "Hunters," she replied. "Others like the ones who destroyed my home." Elias nodded. He began preparing. The calm, kind man turned into a fierce protector. He showed Lyra how to hide, how to move quietly, how to use the ruins as a shield. Together they made a plan. When the hunters arrived, their ships darkened the sky. They were cold and sharp, with weapons that hummed with danger. Elias and Lyra waited in silence. The battle was fierce. Elias fought with all his strength, using his training and clever traps. Lyra used her powers, sending out pulses of light and sound that confused their enemies. She surprised herself with her courage. At one point, Elias was hurt, and Lyra caught him. She held him close, feeling his breath on her skin. She whispered words of comfort she had learned from Elias. The hunters finally fled, defeated by the strange partnership of human strength and Ithasari light. After the battle, Elias looked at Lyra with pride. "You are stronger than you know." Lyra smiled. "So are you." For the first time, they both believed that maybe, just maybe, together they could build a new future from the ashes of the past. The sun rose over the broken city of Nereth, casting soft light on the shattered glass and fallen towers. For the first time in many days, Lyra felt something she had not known since the war, a small, quiet hope. She stood beside Elias at the edge of the ruins. His ship, the Endeavor, gleamed silently under the morning light. The small base he had made between the broken buildings was a fragile shelter in a world full of danger. Lyra looked at Elias, her eyes searching. She wanted to understand this human more, his strength, his kindness, and why he stayed when others had left long ago. Elias smiled gently. "You are safe now," he said. "We will find a place for you, somewhere you can live without fear." Lyra nodded but did not speak. Words were still hard for her, especially in this strange language. Instead, she touched the glowing symbol on her chest, a small crystal, a gift from her mother. It pulsed softly, a reminder of her lost world. Elias noticed and crouched beside her. "Tell me about your people," he asked. "What happened here?" Lyra took a deep breath and began to draw in the dust. Her fingers moved carefully, creating shapes and symbols that told a story. She drew the city, shining and alive, with tall towers made of crystal light. Then she showed the war, dark ships attacking, fires burning, and the silence after the eye, storm. She drew herself alone, standing among the ruins. Elias watched quietly. Though he did not understand every symbol, he felt the pain behind them. He had seen war before, on many worlds. But the loss in Lyra's story was different. It was the loss of everything: family, home, future. "We destroyed so much," Elias said softly. "But we also build. We fight for what is good, even when it is hard." Lyra looked at him, hope growing in her eyes. "Your people?" she asked, finally finding the words. Elias nodded. "Humans are not perfect. We have made many mistakes. But we never stop trying to be better." The two of them sat in silence, watching the sky change from soft purple to the bright blue of a new day. Over the next weeks, Elias and Lyra worked together. He taught her about human technology, how to use simple tools, how to repair the ship, how to communicate. Lyra taught Elias about her world, how to feel the energy of the crystals, how to listen to the whispers of the past. Their bond grew stronger, but the universe was still watching. One day, as Elias prepared to send a message to his home base, Lyra stopped him. "Not yet," she said. Her voice was soft but firm. "They will come. They always come when there is light." Elias understood. He hesitated but nodded. "We will be ready." The warning was clear, and it was only the beginning. The air on Nerith was thick with tension. The peaceful silence of the ruins had been broken many times before, but this time it felt different. Elias stood watch at the edge of the camp, his eyes scanning the horizon. His hand rested on his weapon, ready for whatever might come. Lyra stood beside him, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dim light. She could feel the danger before she saw it. A dark shadow moving through the sky, faster than any bird or natural creature. Her mind reached out, sensing the cold thoughts of those who hunted the stars. "They are coming," she whispered. Elias tightened his grip. "We'll be ready." The hunters were a cruel species, known throughout the galaxy for their greed and violence. They collected rare things, technology, creatures, even entire planets, without care for life or history. Lyra knew their names. They were the same who destroyed her home, the same who left her alone. The sound of engines grew louder. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Elias and Lyra prepared quickly. She used her powers to send out soft pulses of light, creating illusions that hid their camp among the ruins. Elias set traps, blending Ithasari technology with human engineering. When the hunters' ships appeared above, dark and sharp against the purple sky, Elias felt a surge of fear, but also something stronger: determination. He looked at Lyra and nodded. They would fight together. The hunters landed heavily, their armor clanking as they stepped out. They carried strange weapons that hummed with energy. Elias stood in front of Lyra, shielding her with his body. "Leave now," he warned, "or face the consequences." The hunters laughed. They saw only a lone human and a strange alien girl. They thought it would be easy. But Elias and Lyra were not alone. Lyra closed her eyes and reached deep into her power. The crystals around them began to glow brightly, casting long shadows and confusing the hunters. She sent pulses of light that made the hunters stagger, their weapons failing to work properly. Elias moved quickly, using his training to disarm and disable their enemies. He fought with strength and skill, every move precise and determined. He was protecting more than just himself. He was protecting hope. During the fight, Elias was hit. A sharp blow knocked him to the ground. Pain spread through his body, but he refused to give up. Lyra ran to him, catching him before he fell. She wrapped her arms around him, using her light to heal his wounds. Her powers were strong, but this was the first time she had used them to help another so closely. "Stay with me," she whispered, her voice steady. Elias opened his eyes and smiled weakly. "I'm here." Together they stood against the hunters. The ruins of Nerith became a battleground of light and shadow, hope and fear. The hunters, surprised by the strength of their opponents, began to retreat. Elias and Lyra watched as the last ship disappeared into the sky. The battle was over, but the war was not. Elias looked at Lyra with pride. "You fought well." Lyra smiled, feeling stronger than she had in years. "So did you." They knew the hunters would return someday. But for now, they had won. As night fell, they sat by the fire, tired but alive. Lyra leaned against Elias, feeling safe for the first time. "We will face the future together," Elias said softly. Lyra nodded. Together, and under the stars, a new bond was formed, one that would change the course of their lives forever. The night was quiet, but the air still carried the echoes of the battle. Lyra sat close to Elias, her hands glowing softly as she used her light to help heal his wounds. The warmth from her touch spread slowly, easing the pain and bringing color back to his face. Elias watched her with gratitude. He had faced many dangers before, but never like this. The strength in Lyra was more than physical. It was a light born from loss, hope, and courage. She was unlike any being he had met. "You saved me," he said quietly. Lyra shook her head. "We saved each other." Outside the shelter, the ruins of Nerith were still alive with strange energy. The ancient crystals beneath the city pulsed with memories of the past. Lyra closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. She could feel the voices of her ancestors, whispers of sorrow, love, and warning. "They are watching," she said softly. Elias nodded. "We have to be ready." Together, they prepared for what might come next. Lyra's power was growing stronger each day, fueled by the ancient energies of her world. Elias worked to repair his ship, knowing they might need to leave quickly. One afternoon, while exploring deeper into the city, Lyra found a hidden chamber. The walls were covered in glowing symbols that told stories of her people's past, how they lived in harmony with the stars, how they protected knowledge and light. She reached out and touched a crystal in the center of the room. Suddenly, a surge of energy rushed through her. Images flashed in her mind, visions of a great power locked away, waiting for the right time to awaken. Elias watched from the doorway, amazed. "What is it?" Lyra opened her eyes, shining brighter than before. "It is the heart of my people, a power to protect, to heal, and to remember." They knew the hunters might return, drawn by this power. But now Lyra held a new strength, a light that could fight the darkness. That evening, as the twin moons rose, Elias and Lyra stood together on a hill overlooking the city. The ruins sparkled faintly, alive with energy and promise. "We will not be afraid," Elias said. "Not while we stand together." Lyra smiled. "We will carry the light of the past into the future." As they watched the stars, a new hope burned inside them, stronger than any fear, brighter than any shadow. The story of Nerith was not over. It was just beginning. The Endeavor hummed softly as it prepared for takeoff. Elias stood beside Lyra, watching the stars twinkle above Nerith's broken surface. The planet that once held her people was now quiet, but inside her a new light burned, a light born from hope and the promise of tomorrow. Lyra looked at Elias with eyes full of questions and courage. "Where are we going?" she asked softly. Elias smiled gently. "To a place called Earth. It is my home, a world full of life, hope, and new beginnings." She nodded, uncertain but trusting. The journey ahead was unknown, but for the first time she did not feel alone. Inside the ship, the gentle hum of machines mixed with the soft beeping of instruments. Elias helped Lyra settle into the small cabin. The walls were smooth and bright, so different from the ruins outside. Lyra touched the crystal on her chest, feeling its steady pulse. It was a reminder of where she came from, and a promise of where she was going. Elias sat beside her. "You are safe now," he said, "and you will help us understand the universe in ways we never could." Lyra smiled faintly. "I want to learn, to share my people's stories, to help build a future." Days passed as the ship traveled through the stars. Elias taught Lyra about humans, their struggles, their kindness, their endless desire to grow and protect. She listened with wide eyes, fascinated by their spirit. In return, Lyra shared what she could, her powers, her memories, her hope. The connection between them grew stronger, like two worlds coming together. But the galaxy was not quiet. A warning flashed on the ship's screen. Unknown ships were approaching. Elias's face grew serious. "We must be ready." Lyra stood beside him, glowing softly with determination. "They will not take me, not again." The ships drew closer, dark and fast, but Elias and Lyra were not afraid. Together they prepared. When the ships opened fire, the Endeavor's shields glowed bright. Elias piloted with skill, dodging attacks. Lyra used her powers to create barriers of light, protecting the ship and crew. The battle was fierce, but humans and Ithasari worked as one. The attackers retreated, surprised by the strength of their bond. After the fight, Elias looked at Lyra with pride. "You are not just the last of your kind. You are the beginning of something new." Lyra nodded. "Together, we will find a way." When the ship finally reached Earth, Lyra gazed out the window at a blue planet full of life. Trees, oceans, cities. Everything was so new, so full of possibility. Elias took her hand. "Welcome home." Lyra smiled, feeling the warmth of human kindness. She was no longer alone. She was part of something greater, and as the Endeavor touched down, a new chapter began. Not just for Lyra, but for all who believed in hope, courage, and the power of unity. The story of the last Ithasari was not a story of loss. It was a story of survival, friendship, and the light that shines brightest in the darkest times. Together, Elias and Lyra stepped forward into the future, ready to face whatever the stars held next.